So if someone does something unpleasant to you, try not to take that personally. Remember, it most likely has nothing to do with you. Then you step back and you ask yourself, I wonder what bad thing must have happened to them today. Then you just try to be patient and compassionate. Now logically that would bring me to number 3. Never, ever argue with a crazy person. Number 4, figure out who you are and then try not to be afraid of that. Advice on decision making. There's a fine line between courage and stupidity. Be certain which side of the line you're on before you act. Marriage and divorce. First, for those of you who think you might like to have a wife one day, never tell your wife how she feels. You can ask, if you're brave, but you can never tell us how we feel. Now, for those of you who'd like to have a husband, if you want something from your husband, don't rely on hints or telepathy. Just tell him. That was just tell him. For my birthday, honey, I want a blue sweater, size 8 from Lord & Taylor. Here's the directions to the store. Use the southeast entrance. Go in, pass the shoes and take a right. It's on the aisle on the left there. And I gave one to a sales clerk named Betty to help me find it. Here's your wallet, here's your keys, here's your GPS. I loaded it all in there for you. And then off you go. I'd go with you, but I'd want to be surprised. Divorce by David Letterman. One of Letterman's guests was telling how he just got divorced. And he was pretty upset. He kept saying she was the one. And I'll never have that again. I've blown it. I'll never fall in love again. She was the one. Letterman leans over and says, look, there's 6.2 billion people in the world. Odds are there's got to be at least one more woman out there for you. Get back in the saddle. My advice to you on children, always have children in your life. And it doesn't matter if they're 18 months old or 18 years old. And they don't have to be your kids. Spend time with them, play with them, learn from them, and most importantly, encourage them. They will bring you joy and the right perspective. I call this next part parental advice. Now, I know there's at least one of you out there who doesn't want to hear any advice from Oprah in a graduation speech. So I got some advice from her dad instead. When Oprah was 14, she became pregnant, and sometime into the pregnancy, she had a miscarriage. The day she lost the baby, her dad said to her, "You are not your mistakes. Your mistakes do not define you. They may shape who you become, but never let them define you. You are not your mistakes. Learn from them and move on." And now for some advice from my dad. The best advice he ever gave me was, go ask your mother. I always thought he answered all our questions that way because he couldn't keep us all straight. Who could go where and who was grounded, or for that matter, who was even home at the time. Then when I got into my mid-20s, I noticed he kept saying, go ask your mother. And I wasn't even asking him anything. So one day I took his advice and I started asking my poor mother a lot of questions. I drove her crazy, but it was the best thing I ever did. Your mother's insight, perspective, and wisdom on an enormous amount of topics will astound you. Go ask your mother. Last but not least, 2 pieces of advice on how to have a happy life, no matter what comes your way. First, and just hear me out on this one because it ends well. I remember when a very dear friend of mine told me she had cancer and that she had less than a year to live. I lost it. She'd gone back to college as an adult and had just finished up. She finally fell in love. She was going to get married and couldn't wait to start a family, and she was 34. And now this. Strangely enough, I was the one crying and carrying on about how she's being robbed of this and robbed of that. And then I noticed she was remarkably calm. So I looked at her and I said, how can you be so calm? She said, let me give you some advice. If you focus on what you don't have, what you feel you've been robbed of or cheated out of, you'll have a miserable life. Instead, focus on what you do have, for that's the only way to have a good life. This brings me back to the inner peace, number 1. Things are seldom what they seem. Fortunately, it seems her doctor was wrong about the less than a year part, because it's about 8 years later, and not only is she still alive, she's still smarter than me. That went good. Last one on a happy life. Some of us were about to graduate from college and some from grad school. We were all hanging out worried about what do we do next? Do we get jobs? What kind of jobs? Where do we live? Is someone going to tell us what to do next? What do we do? And then my friend Lori comes popping in and she says, relax. The best part of life is you get to make it up as you go along. We all thought she was crazy, but then she explained. From the day we were born until now, our lives are pretty much mapped out for us. People have always been telling us what to do. And now we've reached that point where we get to choose. We're finally in a position to do what we really wanted to do, what we've been dying to do our whole lives, and I can't wait. Tara, what do you want to do? Very soon, you will all be at the best part of life, the part you get to make up as you go along. Choose well. I want to thank the parents for sharing your kids with all of us. To my class, I'm grateful to you, humbled and inspired by you, and I'm proud of you. I want to thank the class of 2011 for being one of the bright spots in my life over the past 4 years. I'll miss you all. You guys rock. Now I'd like to introduce our first student speaker, Brady Sprague.
Board of Education, administrators, faculty and staff, friends, family, and of course, the students of the class of 2011. Good evening. Psychologist B.F. Skinner once stated, education is what survives when what has been learned has been forgotten. He had an academic way of speaking, but he was right. Education is more than an assortment of theorems and postulates. It is an experience that we will keep forever, even after we've forgotten the universal gas law or the details of the Gupta Empire. Our education has been marked by the shared milestones of the past 4 years. Remember our first day of high school? The class of 2011 was a horde of nervous freshmen, appearing at the door with butterflies in our stomachs and fear etched on our faces. Thankfully, we were met by a welcoming community. In those first days, we learned that Penfield kids are remarkably helpful and friendly. It did not take long to realize that we were allowed a greater sense of independence than ever before, and with it came a greater expectation of responsibility. For many of us, high school was the first time we experienced failure. Not everyone made the varsity sports teams or the audition-only music ensembles, and simply attending class was no longer grounds for an A. The days of the participation trophy were over. Failure taught us that in the real world, success will not come without effort. But failure did not crush our confidence. Instead, it inspired us to do better. Our first failure sparked in us a dedication to excellence. This transition to PHS was made much more interesting than it might have otherwise been by the facilities project. While I am adamant to this day that I may have done better in geometry without a jackhammer drowning out my teacher, learning in a construction zone taught us patience, tolerance, and flexibility. Even when we had no athletic fields, we participated in sports and learned that there truly is no I in team as we trained to become Section 5 champions. Even when our auditorium was literally a gaping hole in the ground, we still participated in music, learning artistic appreciation and the value of practice as we performed in our talented choirs, orchestras, bands, and theater groups. Amidst the dust, we even learned how to handle our emotions as we sorted through the roller coaster ride that was prom, ball, and the social quagmire that is high school. process, we joined clubs and other activities that reflected our interests and quirks. Whether we were blossoming Picassos or math wizards, the passion with which we approached our extracurricular activities allowed us to form unbreakable bonds. So, where does this leave us? Today, the class of 2011 graduates from high school. We will move forward with great faith into our futures. However, we do understand that we are about to graduate into an economy that is less than robust. We recognize that there will be obstacles. To top it off, some predict that our generation may be the first to live with less than our parents did. Despite this negative sentiment, the class of 2011 knows that our American dream will never die. Currently, we are armed with far more than just a diploma. We have character, we have confidence, we have skill, we are motivated. We understand that success is the product of hard work and that reward will come to the patient. We understand that practice brings improvement regardless of the endeavor and that tolerance is a way of life. We understand the nature of teamwork and we are flexible in defining our commitments. We are conscientious and effective mediators. The lessons we have learned are applicable in any pursuit, whether higher education, employment, military service, or volunteerism. Tonight is our commencement, the beginning of a new phase of our lives. We are secure in that we enter the real world prepared to meet any challenge. Psychologist B.F. Skinner would be proud of the education that we have received. It is more than a collection of facts. Rather, it is an experience that will remain the foundation of our characters. Yet, none of us can say that we achieved this entirely under our own power. We have been assisted by friends, teachers, and family members, and particularly our parents, to whom we owe gratitude for most of our accomplishments. Thank you for your support. To my classmates, thank you for being the greatest bunch of 382 kids, young adults, a guy could know. I am extremely proud to be a Penfield Patriot. I wish you all the best of luck in your post-graduation plans, and I look forward to hearing our success stories at our first class reunion. We are incredibly fortunate to have received a great gift, an education. Now, the only question is, what will we do with it? God bless America, and congratulations, seniors, we did it! Thank you. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce to you our next speaker for this evening's program, Sarah Jordan.
So nervous. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Jordan. As your class of 2011 valedictorian, there are some... Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so apparently I am not your valedictorian, so drive safely. On a serious note, it is an honor and a privilege to be here tonight and to welcome you, thank you, to our graduation celebration. Of course, there are many here who need to be thanked, so let me pull out my thank you cards and get right to it. I'm right here. The first one is to the faculty and staff. I think that the best way to start this one is with 2 words. Not wisdom and intelligence, no. Not professionalism and dedication, no. Those just don't sum it up. All right, I got it. Grilled bagels. had a grilled bagel. You may have better arteries in the long run, but we have had Heaven's Bagel Makers in our lunch lines every morning for 4 years. And for some of us, that actually might be an immediate threat to our health. I'm serious, for some people, it's like a pool of butter with a bagel on the side. And it wasn't just the food, or the clubs, or the teams, or the activities that had an impact on us. Even the administration team has had their way of shaping our education. 3 things I will never forget about our administrators. Number one. Give me a break, I'm nervous. Miss Feebre's snow day dance on the announcements, that actually worked. We did get a snow day the next day. Mr. Bayrasi and his obnoxious megaphone that he took full advantage of at all times. And Mrs. Ahern asking me every day where I am going to college next year, and me giving her the same answer every day. Yes, I am going to college next year. I'm so sorry to those of you who lost that bet. And though there are too many wonderful other administrators, teachers, and staff members to cite here, the experiences and lessons that we've learned inside the classroom go far beyond the books. I have learned so much from the faculty and staff at Penfield, and a most genuine thank you is due to all who got us here. All right, next card. We could not have made it to this point without the people who were there to get us excited for our future, but to remind us of our past. Those who were there to fill our souls with peace and our stomachs with good food. Tonight, let us thank the beautiful, intelligent, compassionate, loving men and women who work at PHOTS. Many people I know consider PHOTS to merely contribute to the downfall of American society and the rise of obesity. However, ask any football player how many garbage plates he can pack away in one sitting and how proud he is of that number. Yes, PHOTS is great. I think we can all agree everybody loves PHOTS. But as important as PHOTS is, I think there are some other people here tonight who may also deserve some recognition. Our parents have always been motivational and dedicated, and I know that I don't have the only mom that will drop everything in the middle of the day to bring me something that I forgot to school. Seriously, my mom was great about bringing me everything I forgot. Like that one time I called her and needed her to bring me my lunch. She came blasting out of the garage, skillfully weaved through traffic with her hair whipping in the wind, peeled down 441 as if it were a NASCAR event, but then slowed down to 5 miles per hour at High School Drive, taking extra caution over the speed bump because it is a school zone. Mom, or Ninja Mom as we like to call her, pulled up to the front bus loop, threw the car in park, kicked open her door, burst through the main door so hard that it froze the big clock for days, not that it works anyways. But then calmly approached the security desk, properly signed herself in, and appropriately fastened her visitor's pass to her lapel. But then sprinted down the halls, knocking books out of kids' arms, and finally, safely delivered me my perfectly intact, crustless, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. After I had asked for a cheese sandwich, you can never get that part right. But one thing she does know how to do, and I'm positive that all of your parents know how to do this too, is log in to Infinite Campus. Oh, Infinite Campus. I will never understand the obsession that some parents seem to have with Infinite Campus. When the portals were not actually down and it was possible to log in, many students would receive that midday text asking why they were 37 seconds late to last period and why so many assignments have been unaccounted for when they actually haven't been assigned yet. But, fairly enough, it was all out of love. And without the people screaming our names at sports events and hanging our test scores on the refrigerator, we would not be the wonderful people that we are today. Mom, Dad, wherever you are, thank you for tolerating me for so long. I love you guys. My mom once told me the most perfect quote to put in here, and I will never forget it. Kids can never repay their parents for what they have given them. They can only pass it along. So thank you, parents, for giving all of us something to pass along. All right, last card. Finally, we can't forget the PHS class of 2011. Let me hear you. As I look out at all of you, sort of, I can only see the first 2 rows, I see a group, sort of beautiful individuals, I know you're out there, with so much great power and potential. You all have been such great friends to me, and I know that you guys always have my back. Like today, for example, when I got that text reminding me that tonight was a blackout, not a whiteout, you showed me what it takes to have dedication. Just like Thomas Edison had when he was doing that light bulb thing, or like Soulja Boy's dedication to drop as many mixtapes as possible to get that #1 hit. It still hasn't happened. Or even within our class, with how many referrals we got for spaghetti straps and short shorts before we figured out how to perfectly get around the dress code regulations. And let me just say, tonight we are all dress code approved. On a more serious note, to you students, I owe the greatest thanks. There are so many of you that have worked so hard and deserve every opportunity that you get in life, and I sincerely hope that you all find your calling and run with it. I am so grateful that I got to know so many of you, and the bonding experiences that we've shared will be with me forever. I will always cherish how each and every one of you, at some point or another, made me feel loved and accepted. All right, in closing, I would like to give a huge thank you to those who assisted me in writing this speech, namely Mr. Brazier, Mrs. Kilmoran, and my mother and father. I would also like to end by saying that I have absolutely loved every minute of my high school experience. I've loved all of it. I never did catch the senioritis bug because I never wanted to leave. I consider myself so lucky to be with this class, these teachers and staff, and our high school. I actually have something here that many of you may recognize. This is our 7th grade letters to ourselves. We wrote it in 7th grade and we just got it back a few weeks ago. This is a little embarrassing. But in one section, we are asked to describe the high school in 3 words. Of course, me being Sarah, I wrote 4 words, but those words were best place to be. I thought it then, before I had even entered high school, and I still think it now. It has been the best place to be, and you all, my classmates, have made it that way. Thank you so much for what you all have given me. And in the words of a prominent hip-hop artist, class of 2011, we the best! It is now my pleasure to introduce the chorale of Penfield High School.
All DeHaan. This is my sister, Ashley DeHaan, and we are the class of 2011's co-presidents. Not only has the class of 2011 been a memorable class at PHS, but the community and education at PHS have been unforgettable to the class of 2011. With that said, the class of 2011 would like to give back to the PHS community and to enhance the high school experience for future Penfield students. We are happy to present PHS with 2 picnic tables to place outside of the commons and a nice sign welcoming students to the new bookstore. We have also decided to donate $1,500 to School 34 on Lexington Avenue in the Rochester City School District because we have so much here in the Penfield Central School District and we wish other students could have the same. Now we would like to recognize our class advisors, Ms. Measle and Mr. Ellis, for all of the hard work they have done over the past 4 years. Ms. Measle and Mr. Ellis, you both have been dedicated, hardworking, and encouraging. You have done everything from fundraising, planning prom and ball, to ensuring that we all have fun during our high school careers. We truly do not know how you get everything done and manage your jobs and personal lives. We couldn't have done anything without you, and with that said, I mean anything without you. And on behalf of the class of 2011, we would like to give you both a little token of our gratitude. Thank you. Last but not least, we would like to recognize Mrs. Febreen. Miss Febreen, the constant ooh that would come from a classroom after you had summoned a student to your office is unforgettable. Although students typically assume the worst when called to an administrator's office, we have grown to learn you are kind, funny, hardworking, and truly dedicated and want your students to have the best in life. We would like to present you with this picture of the class of 2011 to thank you for embracing all of us and guiding us through high school. Thank you.
And now I would like to present the class 2011.
Kelsey, take left.